Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today I'm going to share with you one of my micro finesse tactics that has caught me a lot of really big fish throughout the years. In fact, if you happen to watch my tournament recaps, you probably saw me catch almost 20 pounds of Lake of the Ozarks bass at the Lake of the Ozarks Major League Fishing Invitational Tournament this past year. This is a really good presentation that I've been using for a while. I can't say I've heard anyone else talk about doing this, but I can assure you if you fish a body of water that is very pressured or is super clear water, this is something you're going to want to try. Now, if you like your BFS systems or you like fishing spinning gear, you're going to have to use this on one of those. It's too light, too small for most bait casting setups unless you've got some specialized gear for it. So specifically, guys, this tactic is one that I've fallen in love with, to be honest with you, and I've got two ways to fish it. Now, before I get into those, I do want to remind you, if you're looking for a little bit of help on your local lakes, check out the lake breakdowns that I do with fishthemoment.com. Maybe you're coming to the Mississippi River. Well, the winning spot on Pool 7 is on the Pool 7 lake breakdown. It's basically right on the juice. So if that's something that interests you, check that out. It's a great way to give you a little bit of help on lakes in your area, or maybe you're taking a vacation to a new lake and you just want some guidance. Great way to go about it. Also, if you're looking to support the channel and you need to purchase some tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link to make those purchases. Every little bit I make from that comes right back into making content to help others catch fish. All right, so let's talk about this finesse setup. The first time I used it, I actually was rigging it on a drop shot. And specifically, guys, just so you know what I'm talking about here, it's micro wacky rigs. Small 2 to 3 inch worms that you can rig in a wacky manner, and you're using it to catch fish that are highly pressured. Now, the first thing about this, again, like I said, is I was fishing it on a drop shot. Specifically with a leader to a weight, and therefore fishing it like I would any other drop shot bait. But what I've since found is you can fish this like a traditional wacky rig. I do not use standard wacky rig hooks for it, though. I actually go to a size 2 or a size 4 drop shot hook to use these with, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First and foremost, if you use a traditional wacky rig hook, you're probably going to overpower the worm, meaning it's going to be too heavy, you're not going to get the right fall out of it. If you use it on a small drop shot hook, you're generally going to get a good fall out of it, just like that. Now, the key here is the worm. Not all worms work. You need a worm that has the right fall. Some of my favorites are this guy right here, but this is a hand-poured, locally made bait that you're not going to be able to get. It's actually a crappie bait. But you can use a little 3-inch Yamamoto Cinco. You can throw a little TRD Ned Rig by Z-Man. And then another one is this little trout worm right here that's made by Berkeley. It's a little gulp worm, also works great. Most of these, some of your best worms out there are actually going to be like your little wiggler worms that are made for crappie fishing. I have found that they work great. That's what this guy is right here. This is the one specifically that I was using at Lake of the Ozarks to catch bedding fish. So I like to fish it as a drop shot, but I have since learned that you can fish this the same way you would fish any traditional wacky rig. So it's not a drop shot setup, it's just on a hook. I'm fishing it weightless. I'm throwing this a lot of times to fish that I see cruising. I'm fishing it around docks, and I'm fishing it around holes in the grass where I know I've got really specific isolated areas. Because one thing I will say with this is you tend to not cover as much water as you would a normal wacky rigged soft stick bait. They are lighter. They do a lot of times sink a little bit slower, and because they are lighter, they're a little bit harder to cast longer distances. So it just seems like you're really fishing slower in those areas, but it generates a lot of strikes. If you happen to fish a place that has a lot of people finesse fishing with wacky rigs, go to a smaller size worm like this and you will see an improvement in the number of bites. Now again, your gear is going to be critical here. I do fish it on 6-pound test. I do fish it on a medium light 7.3 spinning rod, sometimes a 7.5 foot spinning rod, just to get increased distance on my cast. And I'll fish it on braided line, light 10-pound braided line to that 6-pound fluorocarbon leader, just to help improve the casting distance as well. But don't think that you cannot fish a small 3-inch, if I could hold it, 3-inch worm as a wacky rig. You'll get very similar fall to it. And a lot of times I will also point out, you don't necessarily get the same shake fall. You actually get more of a fall, like a side back and forth fall. So it's kind of interesting to play around with the difference in worms, but you just don't have enough appendage on either side to really give you that good wiggle. So you do tend to get a more of a dying shad fall, which I do tend to like. But it's something worth trying, guys. It's something I haven't seen other people talk about. And it's one of the secrets that I've been using for years and just haven't really ever divulged. But I think if you give it a try, I think you might find that this is something that can work very well. And when it is too windy to throw it on a traditional wacky rig style or a technique, put it on your drop shot and you can fish it in a very similar manner. You just cast it out, let the weight go to the bottom, let your line go slack, and that bait will slowly fall. When I do that, a lot of times I'll fish it with a much longer leader, like a 3-foot leader, just to keep the bait higher off the bottom to get it to fall slower. But mini wacky rigs can be absolutely deadly on very, very pressured lakes. So if you haven't tried it, give it a try, guys, and I bet you it catches you a few extra fish. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of the feedback. If this is a technique that you're doing, leave in the comment section some of your favorite little worms to use for a mini wacky rig. I'm sure I would like to see that. I'm sure a bunch of other people would like to see that as well. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.